Today I turned up late to a park run, which was actually Cook's River Park Run. So instead I set myself a challenge. How many people can we overtake before we hit the finish line, giving them an over 5 minutes head start. So in today's video, I'm going to be telling you everything that you need to know about this park run whilst also trying to achieve my fastest time. So let's get into it. Cook's River Park Run is located to the southwest side of the CBD within the Saint Mary's Mackillop Reserve, and we're going to be running along Cook's River in New South Wales, Australia. The park run is a flat 2-lap course on a mixture of grass and paved paths, so therefore I recommend wearing trail shoes. However, if you have hybrid shoes, this is the perfect shoe to wear for this park run. It starts at 8 AM too, and it is also good to note that it is buggy/pram friendly and it is dog friendly too. However, there are no public toilets at the park run, but about a 7-minute walk away to the Canterbury train station, you can find some toilets there. In terms of how busy the park run is, there were 316 runners on the day, which is sort of average to busy, and I'd say it probably got pretty congested at the start. Obviously, we weren't there when everyone set off, so we didn't actually see that, but if you are looking to get a PB, I'd recommend getting near the front, as it does get quite congested anyway, as the paths aren't too wide and you're doing 2 laps on the exact same paths as it is out and back too, so it just makes it that little bit harder to overtake. In terms of whether you're going to get a PB or not, there wasn't too many hills. There were a couple of little hills, so it definitely slowed you down there. However, I'd say this is a pretty quick one compared to a lot of the ones in and around the Sydney area. The scenery was okay too. You were running alongside the Cook's River, which was actually really nice. However, in terms of other park runs that I've been to, I wouldn't say this one was the most stunning park run, but it was pretty cool hearing all the birds. Like, there were so many cockatoos flying around, and you can obviously hear them squawking their heads off. So I quite enjoyed that, especially from being from the UK. But now let me take you through a quick summary of the course. So as we were saying earlier, it is a 2-lap course, and it is pretty much an out and back course too, and most of it is quite undulating, which I wasn't expecting, bearing in mind it is described as flat on the park run website. You can see the elevation there in that top left hand corner, and it was about 22 meters of elevation gain in total, with a max elevation of just 8 meters, so a little bit harder than I was expecting. So now I've given you a quick summary of this park run, let me take you through it in just that little bit more detail. So you're going to start off on the western side of this park run, and it will be on grass to begin with for about 10-20 meters before you'll then head onto the paved paths, and you'll keep following that path all the way towards the west. It's pretty undulating throughout most of this park run, and I'll tell you where the major hills are. But you're then going to cross over a little bridge, and do make sure to turn to the left after this bridge. You'll see once we get into the run that this is the section where I got stuck, because obviously I turned up late, so I didn't really hear much about the course, and all the runners had already gone, so I was a bit panicky once I got to this section here. So make sure to turn off to the left. You're then going to follow the Sutton Reserve around before doing another left-hand turn, followed by a quick right-hand turn, so you're not going onto that footbridge ahead of you, and then you're following the Cook's River all the way down past the Cook's River footbridge, and then you're going to do a sharpish right turn around here. So this is a little bit of an incline, but you're still on the surface paths before coming off the surface paths and onto grass, and then it is back to a little decline back onto the surfaced paths. And you're just going to follow that exact same path all the way back towards where you started, but instead of turning onto the grass over here, you're instead going to go around like a little roundabout looking thing. So that takes you around back onto the other side of the path, and then you're going to do that same lap again, before this time you're actually going to turn off to the left and back onto the grass and towards the finish line. So you're going to finish around here, and that is it. So it is a fairly simple one with not too many paths, but there's a couple of turns which, if you didn't know them, you may go wrong, but as long as you stick within the pack and you're not in first position, then hopefully most people will know where they're going. And now you know a little bit more about this park run, let me take you through some incredible park run records which have been set at Cook's River Park Run. Starting off with the fastest male, who is Paul Mataletti, with a time of 15 minutes and 17 seconds, which is incredibly fast. The fastest female was Belinda Martin, with a time of 17 minutes and 25 seconds, which is equally impressive. The average number of runners is around 234, so we got quite unlucky today with there being 316, so it was a lot busier than usual, and the average time is around 30 minutes and 44 seconds, which is pretty quick for an average time, but it is to be expected as this isn't too much of a hilly one. But now let me take you through some of my overall park run stats, where not much is going to change today. However, the total number of park runs which we've done so far is 108. The number of locations is 84, so both of those are going to go up today, and then my best finish position is 4th, with my fastest times listed below. But because we turned up so late, obviously our time is not going to make it onto this leaderboard this week. But now we're at the point in the video which you have all been waiting for, so let's get down to event number 531 of Cooks River Park Run, where today we're not going to be trying to get our fastest time, we're actually going to see how many people we can overtake before hitting the finish line. Now our target is going to be half of the pack, so around 150 I'd be pretty happy with, because then we're ending up in the sort of 130-40 zone. So let's see how we get on, and you'll see straight away that there is no one at the start line. I can imagine this being pretty congested, to be honest, when there is all the park runners there. You can see the volunteers just setting up the cones for the finish funnel, but we have set off on that grass section like I said earlier, and we're going to cut quickly now onto the surfaced paved paths, and we're going to head our way trying to catch the pack. So it's a little bit of an incline, I believe, to begin with. So yeah, you can see the elevation down there in that bottom right hand corner going up slightly, and you'll see it go up and down quite a lot because it is a pretty undulating course. But if you have got this far and you are enjoying this video, I'd really appreciate it if you smash that like button, and also subscribe if you are new. We get plenty of park runs out on this channel, and there's also a half marathon video out now too. But we've got a decent start, dodging the dog which is just taking a quick dump in the middle of the path, and hopefully that dog will have moved by the time the whole pack comes on the way back. But let's see what sort of pace we can go off at and see whether we can catch that tail walker to begin with. So we've come off a little bit hot at around 4 minutes per kilometre time. We're just crossing a bridge now, and this is where I panic. You'll see it in my face now. So I'm looking off to the right, I'm like, is it that way or is it the other way? So I get a little bit stuck here because there's no like signage or anything, and obviously I didn't get to hear the run briefing at the start. So I'm panicking a little bit here, but hopefully in a moment someone will walk past us in a park run top, and they'll show us the way, so you'll have to see. And there they go. So we see a black 100 top, which is probably turned up late as well. So we'll count this as our first overtake as we go past them. So we know this is the right direction. They must be a local, so we'll have known which way to go. But we're now heading around the path and trying to catch that tail walker. And that looks like it is the person in first position right now. So right now it looks nice and sort of open space, not too many runners there, second position coming around, and then in a moment you'll see just how congested it gets as we catch up with the pack. But what's that in front of us? That is the tail walker. So we've already hunted the tail walker down after it's been already about 5 minutes and sort of 30 seconds since they actually started the park run, and they've got a Viking helmet on too. But we've overtaken the Viking to make it our first overtake, and hopefully we should get a second one here too. There we go. So now we're into this park run. Let's hopefully try and pick up the pace, but not go too quickly, because otherwise we'll struggle for the second half of the run. So we've just hit our first kilometre in a time of 4 minutes and 18 seconds. And you may have noticed already that we've been caught up behind a couple of people trying to overtake around that right-hand side, because we've now got oncoming runners. For example, here we're sort of stuck having to slip around that runner there and then head our way forward. So right now it's just the game of trying to sort of slip past people and not run into people on the opposite side. But that first kilometre in a 4 minute 18 second time was way too quick. I went off way too hot, so hopefully we can slow down for kilometre 2. I think I just got a little bit excited trying to catch up with the pack, but we've managed to get past quite a few people so far, over 20 at least, as we now head our way towards more of the undulating section. So this is a little bit of a steeper incline up here. Got a runner flying past us there on that right hand side. We're getting caught up again behind a couple of people, but we can slip past them now and start heading our way towards kilometre 2. So we're now coming up towards that grassy section of the park runs. This is probably the hardest bit. It's almost a U-turn around here, so it's quite a tight right-hand turn, and then you're heading your way up towards the top section here, and then you'll be straight onto the grass, which is going to slow you down. And I can imagine when it gets quite wet in Sydney, I can imagine this getting pretty boggy because it wasn't the driest on the day which we went. But we're going to go for a bit of an overtake around a couple more people here on the grass. It's a slight downhill here, which is quite nice too, and then hopefully we can start getting a few more overtakes as we make our way back to the start. We are now about 1.8 kilometers into the run. You'll start to notice again the quicker runners are on their way back, so it gets even more congested because you've got slower runners, slower walkers on one side and the other side, and then you've also now got the quicker runners on both the right and the left hand side, so it gets even more congested. And you'll notice as this park run goes on that we get stuck behind more and more people, but we're still doing pretty well, overtaking quite a few people at the moment. So at the moment I think we are on target to try and hit 150 overtakes. If we can get under 30 minutes, that would be insane, especially because we are about 5.5 minutes behind schedule right now. But hopefully we can keep this up, because right now we're doing it at a pretty good pace of around 5 minutes per kilometre. So we're now just over 2 kilometers into the run. We've caught up to Beth, so we're having a quick chat with her before we then start to do a couple more overtakes. So we're just calming it down a little bit because I went off a bit quick, but that kilometer was done in a time of 4:42. And you'll notice where we are. We're back at that junction where I went wrong, but I know where I'm going this time. So we're turning off to the right, crossing the bridge, where again it gets really congested. So you sort of have to stay behind the runner. You can't actually overtake on the bridge because it is very tight and it is very congested too. But hopefully we can start overtaking a couple more people and making our way towards the front of the pack. So that is half the park run done and half of it to go. Going at a pace of around 5 minutes per kilometre, and this is that roundabout section which I was talking to you about earlier. So you just go around that roundabout and then head your way back into lap 2, sticking to that left hand side. And currently running at a 5:20 pace, so we've definitely slowed down, but I feel we've now got to the sort of section which is between like the ranges of 25 minutes and 35 minutes, which is probably the busiest section of a park run. So there's going to be a lot more congestion here in lap 2 as you try to overtake people. You can just see by looking ahead of us right now how difficult it is to overtake. So if you are coming to this park run looking for a PB, do make sure to get out near the front. But look at that, it gets so congested along this path, especially when you've got public going down here too. But we did come on a busy day, so hopefully the day that you come won't be quite this busy. Now 3 kilometers into the run, you can see it's still very congested, but we did that last one in a time of 5 minutes and 2 seconds, and it's pretty undulating too. I've actually noticed in that bottom right hand corner it go up quite a lot, between sort of 10 meters all the way up to like 26 meters. So bearing in mind they call this one flat, I wouldn't expect it to be as flat as some other ones, but we're still doing pretty well, running at a 5 minute pace at the moment. We're still getting quite a lot of overtakes in, so the target of 150 is hopefully doable. So I'm going to have to count all these people once we get to the end of this run, but we're just sticking off to the left hand side, watching out for the quicker runners, but also trying to overtake when we can. So just slipping in, look at that, I feel like a Formula 1 driver, just slipping it in and out, but we can thankfully use the grass on the left and right hand side in some sections to overtake instead. Now 3.5 kilometers into the run. We slowed down a little bit there because we had to overtake people, but you'll notice the pace increased slowly as we've now moved into the open area, which is pretty nice. And this is quite a flatter section too of the run, so you can really make the most of this bit, but then you've got the hilly bit right at the far end. But pretty much 3/4 of the park run done right now, so hopefully if we can keep like this, we should be able to hit our target of 150 overtakes. So here goes another one, but right now we're sort of probably in the 30-minute area, I reckon, so hopefully we can get just ahead of a few more people so we can get our sub 30-minute time. Almost 4 kilometers in now. We did that last kilometer with a time of 4:59, so quicker than that 5-minute pace, which is pretty good. And we're back on that grass bit again, heading our way downhill. Do be careful of ankles in this section as well. I feel like you could roll your ankle quite easily in this grass bit, so look out for like tree roots and rocks and stuff like that, so otherwise you may twist your ankle. But there we go, hit that 4K now, and we've got a nice little downhill section here, which hopefully means we can pick up the pace and get past for a few more people. With 500 meters left of the run, we've not got too much more space to overtake people, so hopefully we can get past our last few people before we hit that finish line. So we're now going to cut off to the left hand side. It's a slight inclination up here before doing now a right hand turn, and it is back to flat, and there's a little bit of a downhill section straight after this, which is nice. With 100 meters to go, we've picked up the pace to see just how many people we can overtake before we hit the finish line. There seems to be a fairly big gap ahead of us though, so I don't know whether we are going to be able to get past any more people, but we can see the finish line in sight just a little bit further along. So we're passing the playground now. It's getting a lot less congested too, because most people have finished the run, but we're able to overtake one more person as we dart now onto the grass. What time are we going to get? It looks like we're going to get under that 30-minute target, which is great news. Bearing in mind we arrived 5 minutes and 13 seconds late, and we're going to get a time of, here we go, we can't get past anyone else unfortunately, but we're going to get a time of 29 minutes and 43 seconds, which actually translates to 24 minutes and 30 seconds. So once I take away that 5 minutes and 13 seconds, which we were late by, and we come in a position 138th, which actually means that we overtook 178 people, absolutely smashing our target of 150. And I have to say, that was actually really good fun doing that, looking like starting at the back and sort of trying to make your way as close to the front as possible. I don't know if it's a good thing to do, but you'll have to let me know down in the comment section below if you've ever turned up late to a park run and thought, you know what, I'm going to see how many people I can overtake or what time I can get, and let me know your best one you've ever done down in that comment section below. But now let me take you through a quick summary of how we got on at Cooks River Park Run. So that is Cooks River Park Run complete, ticking off our 15th C on the Alphabetic Challenge. The C is flying ahead right now, and it was also 178 overtakes, which we managed to do, smashing our target of 150 overtakes. So I'm pretty happy with that. But now let's take a quick look at my overall park run stats, where not much changes, but we do increase by 1 park run to 109, and then we increase by locations to 85 too, and there's our fastest times listed below. But unfortunately, none of those are going to change today. But we did get a time of 24.5 minutes, which is pretty good, so I was happy with that. So you'll have to let me know down in the comment section below how many times you've ran at Cooks River Park Run, and also what was your fastest time at this park run too. But if you did enjoy this little bit of a challenge, then do make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you are new. It goes a long way to supporting the channel, and hopefully in the future we're not going to turn up late, and instead we'll be getting new PBs which can go onto this leaderboard. But now let me take you through a couple of the pinch points. So these are the points which are going to slow you down if you come to this park run and stop you from getting your PB. Starting off with pinch point number 1, which is going to be that it is congested. As you can see, for most of this run it was pretty congested, and the paths were just very thin for the number of people which are actually on the path, so you are going to lose some time there, especially in lap 2. And then number 2 is going to be the fact that it is a little bit hilly, so I will say slightly hilly there, because obviously it's got a few undulations, of 22 meters of elevation gain in total, so there are much flatter park runs than this. And then number 3 is just going to be a very small one, but there's a couple of sections on grass, and I always think that grass does slow you down slightly, and you probably lost a couple of seconds running on that grass section too. But apart from that, I won't give you any more pinch points. But before we do go to the tips and tricks section of this video, I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of the volunteers who were there on the day, because without them this parkrun could not go ahead, and also they were able to help us once we first arrived, pointed us in the right direction and just told us, don't worry, you'll catch up with the tail walker in no time. So we really appreciated it, so thank you very much to all of them. But now let me take you through the tips and tricks on how to get to this parkrun and where to go for that all-important post-parkrun coffee and cake. Starting off with the public transport. So if you're thinking of getting there via train, the closest station is Canterbury train station, which is only a 5-minute walk from the start, and that's where the toilet is located too. So in terms of public transport, the train is a really good option to get. There's also a really close bus stop to this parkrun too, which is located here, and that is along Canterbury Road, and it is a less than 5-minute walk to the start line, taking these 4 buses which I have listed up here. So again, the bus is a good option. And then finally, if you are thinking of driving to this parkrun, then they do have parking along Burner Street, which is quite a lot of parking. However, because we obviously turned up late, it was quite full, so I think there would be a couple of other little streets nearby which you could park along, but we did manage to slip ourselves in probably the last spot along that street. So if you're looking to go to this parkrun, I'd recommend getting there a little bit earlier so you can guarantee your car parking spot near to the start. And then finally, the all-important cafe. So everyone heads over to Cook's Cafe, which is funny because it's called Cook's River Parkrun. It's a 10-minute walk from that finish line, and it's basically on the main high street of Canterbury Road. So apparently it's pretty nice. We didn't get to go there on the day because we actually had things to do in the afternoon, but I'd recommend going over and giving it a go. But that is going to be it for all of my advice for this parkrun. So if you have any of your own, then do make sure to let us know down in that comment section below. But don't all start commenting, be there on time, because yes, I get it, I was late, I lost 5 minutes and 13 seconds because of it, but we were able to set ourselves a really good challenge out of it. And if you have enjoyed this one, I'd really appreciate it too if you smash that like button, and also subscribed if you are new. It goes a long way to supporting the channel, and I really enjoy making these videos for you guys, so do make sure to let us know in the comment section below how I can improve them. Last week we were over at St. Peter's Parkrun, which was really cool. We had amazing city skyline views, so I highly recommend going back and checking that one out, or any of the other ones which I've done on the channel, because we've got plenty from all over Europe, a couple from Asia too, and we've now got a load from Australia as well. So do make sure to go and check those out. When next week we're going to be heading over to Wentworth Common Parkrun, which I've heard is a slightly hilly one again, apparently pretty one, and it is all within the Sydney Olympic Park, which is pretty cool. So I'll see you all there with another parkrun video.